You were listening to episode 143 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody. Here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and we... in today's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
Yeah, you seem to enjoy that game a little too much today, man.
Dude, I don't know what you're talking about. Blue is my jam.
So this week, Ryan played a little bit of Blue's Clues. That was his punishment for not completing not completing your new game's resolution of, what was it, Persona 5, Persona 4?
Dude, giving up has never felt so good. Yeah, it was Persona 4 Golden on PS Vita. For longtime listeners will know that I've been struggling to try to bring myself to play that game for almost 2 years now, and it was a great game. That first 12 hours of that game was absolutely awesome, and then I just went on to want to do other things, and then there was just this pressure in the back of my mind forever that was like, well, if you're going to play games, you might as well play that game. That's the only game you're allowed to play. And then I didn't do that for a long time, and I felt bad about it, and then I finally gave up, and now everything's awesome because I have Game Pass.
Yeah, but now you got to play Odyssey.
Yeah, but that'll be fine.
Well, that's what you said about Persona.
Yeah, but Odyssey's not a 60-hour game, and from what I've heard from other people, I'm already like halfway through it.
True, but you still got to play it.
Yeah.
All right.
It'll happen.
Well, as always, let's jump into our current pickups, or recent pickups, and currently playing here on the Game Deflators Podcast. So I'll start. I picked up no video games, actually, this past week, because I already called out the Ghosts of the Tale and Hellpoint that I got for as a gift. But I did pick up a Magic promotional card.
It's been a magical week.
It has been a magic week. So Ryan and I decided to play some Magic, a Magic tournament, really. We were going to draft at one of the local shops here, and draft and kick off, but I luckily had 3 Legacy decks on hand for myself, you and Justin, and we got to do a little...
Friend of the show, Justin, was in attendance too.
Yeah. Last week he was on the show. But yeah, we got to play some Magic last week, and dude, it kind of got me into just... looking at some random decks I could start creating out of, all of my cards that I do have, and kind of thinking of some new homebrews.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was my first time having like an in-store play experience with Magic, and it was only the 3 of us and 3 other dudes, so it was very small. It's not like we went to like Friday Night Magic, which would be absolutely a lot. So, I mean, I'm still kind of dipping my toes in, getting back in, Hopefully I can start doing some more stuff. I'm fully ready to get back in, but I want to do it smart. We were just talking earlier today. Like, I think I'm done buying some packs. Like, I bought a couple Strixhaven collector booster packs, and they're super cool, and the cards and the art are super neat looking. But at this point, like, really, if I want to be smart about this and not go way over the top, I'm better off just buying singles online.
Well, and you can always, before you buy singles online, hit me up, because I may have what you need. I've got way too many cards, man. I got to start downsizing, as you saw. And yeah, you actually picked up 4 Masks of Avacyn from me, so that was interesting. Let's see, what else? I did pick up some new Dragon Shield sleeves, though. I got to show you those. They have that nice matte finish on the front, so it's like a no gloss, or no glare, and I really enjoy those. But as far as currently playing is concerned... played this past week with Justin. I played Amnesia. What is it, Dark Descent or Descent to Darkness? Forget the title, but
Dark Descent.
Dark Descent, yeah. So we played some Amnesia. We got past the machine shop in that one. We didn't beat the game just because we didn't have enough time and so much stuff with family here and everything else. There wasn't like a dedicated period where you could sit down and just play it. But we got through about half the game, and I gotta say, man, it's not as scary as people make it out to be.
Yeah, I don't really think it is.
Yeah, like there's a lot of people say it's such a scary game. It's, one that people quit like a third of the way through and they just can't enjoy it because it's just too creepy. I wasn't honestly that scared. Justin was pretty scared, but I think he gets scared pretty easily on things like this anyways. So I took advantage of that during multiple playthroughs on his end where I would just kind of grab his side really quick in the middle of darkness. That was fun.
Like, I know people that think Resident Evil's scary.
Yeah.
And then... a lot of the times it's not. Like, I mean, the RE2 remake when Mr. X is like chasing you around the police station, like there's so much tension there. It feels scary, but it's not like RE8 is not scary.
No.
Like, it's so campy horror and like kind of like fun, weird, like, oh yeah, you know, like it's all rooted in horror, but it's not actually horrific.
Yeah, I just, I didn't find that one to be pretty scary. And I think it really depends on what you find to be scary, right? So if a game like, say, for example, Alien, some people find a game to be extremely scary. I at first thought it was a little scary, that particular game. But after a while, just kind of got to the point of like, okay, I've got this tracker. I know where the alien is. Like, if it jumps out, it jumps out. And it was more like, crap type of moments.
Once you gamify it and it becomes just a system to interact with, it loses a lot of that emotional.
Yeah, and so that was kind of with me with Amnesia. It was like, more or less, it was oh shit moments.
Yeah.
And whenever like things are shaking, I'm like, crap, I gotta like quickly find a candle light up, or like when one of the monsters kind of would come out, it was like, okay, what's the strategy behind this and like getting past this monster? There wasn't a lot of fear that was invoked into me while playing this game, whereas with Justin there was. Now I can tell you something like Fatal Frame, I definitely find a lot scarier because it's just like, it's ghosts. I'm not a big fan of ghosts. So for me, a Fatal Frame game is going to have a hell of a lot more fear tied to it than like random, jump scares tied to Amnesia.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I mean, we enjoyed it. What we played was actually pretty good. I did enjoy the game quite a bit, and I will likely finish it up. So we'll see how that goes. And then I did play like a little bit of God of War, but not too much, like just a tad. With family here, it was just kind of difficult to do anything. Vin Diesel will be proud of me, by the way, for mentioning family so many times.
Yeah,
I will note that. But yeah, that's it for my current pickups and currently playing. What did you deal with?
So I picked up The Ascent, and I haven't played it yet, but I'm going to play it with my friends. They've got computers, and I now have an Xbox, so I can play some cross-platform stuff with them. So I'm looking forward to that. That looks like a dope game. Skill Up came up with a review for it a couple weeks ago. Got me really excited for it. And then, yeah, this week we went and we did the Magic thing. I played some more Halo from the Master Chief Collection, and it's so cool. I was messing around with it, and I hit whatever the Xbox equivalent of the select button is, and it instantly just toggles it between the original graphics and the new updated graphics.
Oh, nice.
It just like instantly, and I was, oh my God, and I just played the rest of that like hour session or whatever, just toggling constantly every time I would round a corner or something. And it's like the amount of extra work that they put into the environment. It's not just like they up-res some textures and stuff. Like there's whole new like geometry to the designs of stuff. Like it looks so incredible. And I was like, wow, this is such a neat feature. And I've heard of that feature being in remakes, but nothing that I've ever played. And I'm a big fan of it. I think it's really cool to be able to get both experiences and to be able to instantly switch back and forth. And I don't know if that's just a modern, next gen thing, or if that is on, because Master Chief Collection came out for Xbox One. So I got to assume that it's on there as well, as a feature.
Yeah, I would assume so. I personally don't play much Xbox. So, yeah. I mean, I just literally got a 360, last year? So that's kind of sad, actually, when you think about it. But no, that sounds good, dude. And I've been wanting to play some Halo. I've been itching for that for a long time. So, if I end up getting finally get a GPU, maybe I'll look to play that with you at some point.
Well, I mean, you've got some kind of graphics card in here, right? Or you don't have any graphics, just the Intel built in?
So get this. No, I did buy a graphics card, but it's super cheap. So Justin had his laptop, which is actually running a 3060. In his, I think his laptop was $1,600. So you got the NVIDIA 3060. Mine, I don't know what the hell mine is, but we decided to run a benchmarking program to see how it came out. And his laptop was running at like 1080p, 160 frames per second or something like that on the benchmarking. Mine was running 12 frames per second.
Okay, so yeah, you probably want to step it up a little bit.
Yeah. So and
I want to get a dope slim form gaming laptop sometime.
Yeah, I mean, I would say get a PC and then just custom build, but the problem is that you can't get your hands on a damn GPU at this point.
Yeah, but if you buy one that's already built into a laptop, you don't have to worry about that.
True,
and plus, I don't ever feel the need to have a tower again. Like, I like the portability of a laptop. I'm not going to sit down and do anything serious.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like for me, it was more so we've got the podcast. I can do work stuff on here, cataloging of games, magic cards, all that type of stuff. I do a lot on this computer. So for me, a tower is kind of nice. And we do have a laptop. It's not a super powerful one. But then again, I mean, my computer's not super powerful given that the graphics card is absolute garbage.
Yeah.
But dude, once I get a graphics card in this bad boy, man, things are going to be looking up on this thing. I'll be playing a lot of games when I can. But let's start thinking about what we're talking about here for the rest of the episode. So we've got some articles this week that are pretty interesting. First one is PS5 Dev Kits that quickly were pulled from eBay. So I guess somebody listed some Dev Kits on eBay. Next is going to be a sealed copy of Super Mario Bros. Sold for $2 million. So that beats out the record that was just set
Crazy.
a couple months ago.
People are crazy.
And then we're also going to be looking at the top 10 weirdest video game bosses, or really, I guess, yeah, weirdest video game enemies or something like that.
This is a funny one.
Yeah, that one is a pretty funny one. But first, of course, you're listening to our podcast on your favorite podcast application right now. Go ahead and subscribe and find us on Apple Podcasts.
I thought of a new thing, actually.
What is that?
So you're listening on your favorite.
Listen on your second favorite?
Right now. No. I want you to go out and find a new podcast application out there that you don't use. And I challenge you to sign up for an account and follow us on there. And if you can't follow us on there, let us know and we'll shout you out. And then we'll be on there. And then you can listen twice as much.
I don't know if folks are going to go for that, but they can leave us a review on there of 5 stars or more if possible. But yeah, subscribe on your app and subscribe on any other apps that you might be listening to, such as Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Overcast, and CastBox. And then find us on thegamedeflators.com, as well as social media at The Game Deflators, Facebook and Instagram, at Game Deflators on Twitter. But let's take it away. PS5 Dev Kits quickly pulled from eBay. This is, I think, a Kotaku article by Ian Walker.
Yeah, so this, as soon as I saw this, I was like, okay, I'm sure it would have been way too expensive because, I mean, a retail PS5 is still super overinflated to be bought online. So I can't even imagine like what this was going to be listing for. But honestly, I would rather own one of these dev kits than what the PS5 retail looks like. I think the Flying V is kind of neat for it, and like going back and taking a look at it now, I mean, obviously it was not ever going to be what they were going to market sell, but like it's kind of interesting that there is a history that we don't really. Oh wait, no, it does say so. Indicates 2 consoles managed to reach $3,373 after 12 bits, so that's pretty expensive.
Yeah, that was.
But like the added power and stuff that's in these dev kits, I wonder if it's enough to make Cyberpunk work.
That's pretty bad. What I found interesting was, they were listed and then pulled from eBay pretty quickly. I don't think the article mentioned like it said there were serial numbers and stuff tied to it. So with that being the case, I mean, there's got to be some sort of record. Is there like some sort of repercussion on that developer that they're going to be facing? I don't know that
they will know.
Well, I mean, the serial number, Sony would know who they shipped it out to.
Did they put the serial number on there?
Yeah, it said in the article that serial numbers were included within the photos to show, like, I guess, proof of like authenticity. But if that's the case, what are the repercussions from Sony? Like, are they going to put some sort of penalty on the developer for putting up their dev kit? Is it somebody that's gone gone under and they're just trying to make a quick buck because they've gone under as a small studio? Like, what's the situation there, I wonder?
Well, yeah, and it's also interesting too because dev kits for older consoles will kind of get passed around on eBay and stuff, and while they're not like a retail product and they might not really want that kind of stuff out there, like it's going to get out there eventually, and if it's older stuff they wouldn't mind. This is just an issue because it's so close to launch still. And then there's the fact that like they just reached out to eBay and asked them to pull this. Yeah. Like there's no rule on eBay. There's no, there's plenty of previous history. Like there's really by no means a good reason that eBay should have felt pressed to comply with that.
Well,
but
unless
for some reason they did.
Unless there are some sort of terms of service or some sort of contract in place with that developer that they aren't allowed to sell that particular kit within a certain period of time, or that it has to go back to Sony. Who knows? I mean, what the overall process is there. But I mean, yeah, you're right. We've seen developer kits hit online all the time. There's
I would
developer
like to
kits
see more. Like, I would like to go back, like maybe in the future at some point we can go back and take a look at like some of like the pricier dev kits that have sold and kind of look at them side by side versus what their, final retail version came out looking like. That would be like a cool episode to do.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to check out. But yeah, overall, I mean, I don't know enough about dev kits, to really talk too much on it. But like, if you're listening and you know about it, definitely let us know your experience with dev kits and what you've seen in the past. I do think that this is a pretty interesting situation, given like you said, the newness of this and the fact that it is so close to the launch. Like, why would a dev kit already be hitting eBay?
Like, are they not still deving it?
That's what I said. I think that it's maybe a studio that went under, and instead of returning something to Sony or something along those lines, they decided to go ahead and just sell it. And then Sony, of course, saying, nope, it's not going on eBay. But then again, what happens at that point? Is there like a legal dispute where, Sony has to try and file to get its product back? I mean, who knows? So it's definitely interesting, and something to really, I guess, keep an eye on, see if anything else kind of comes up from this. The next article we've got, though, is
crazier.
Yeah, even crazier. A sealed copy of Super Mario Bros. Has sold for a record-breaking $2 million. This is by, looks like, Boniface of Engadget. Sorry. So we talked about this a while back, where a sealed copy of Super Mario Bros. Went for like 1.6 million or something like that.
But that was Mario 64.
No,
right?
that was Super Mario Bros.
That was Mario Bros.
Yeah, so it was literally the same thing. So Super Mario Bros. Sold for like 1.6 million, and then this just sold. I think it said it was a 98A plus.
It was at 9.8.
Yeah, 9.8. Sorry, yeah, I'm thinking the other one. So
9.8 or whatever.
A plus through WADA, and it just sold for $2 million, which makes you think, what's going to be the going rate for a 10 moving forward, or a 9.9?
Don't these collectors know there's expensive games out there like Little Samson that they could be buying?
Like, if you get
like who's doing this? Who is fooling these people? And like, it was interesting that this wasn't like an individual seller. This is like some group collective that everybody partly owns the copy, and then like bids it out in a vote to where they decide whether or not to sell on it. And like they bought it for like, I think it was like 140,000, and then rejected like a 300,000. And now, I mean, obviously that paid off because they made bank off of it.
Yeah. And here's the thing, man, if you can afford to pay $2 million for a copy of Super Mario Bros., you could probably afford the Little Samsons.
That 1.56 million was for Super Mario 64.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
There was. I thought there was well, that might have been like the record for a video game, but I could have sworn there was a.
We talked about a really expensive Mario Bros. Like last year or something.
Okay, well, regardless, I think it sold for like $1 million back then too. We'll see. We'll have to look back at that one, but regardless, man, I mean, you're talking a 9.8 A plus. So when you start thinking about 9.9 or even a future 9.8. What's going to be the going rate here? I mean, are we going to see this going up higher and higher? Is it going to stagnate and this is kind of the ceiling?
I think there's just some people out there that like just have stupid don't care money, or they're trying to pull some kind of something, or maybe it's like maybe somebody's out there and like, this has to be the best copy that exists. Like, I'll just pay top dollar for this now, and no matter what, there's never going to be a better one, so I could set my own price down the road. Like, there's no way that this continues to be like a feasible thing where people just trade up like hundreds of thousands of dollars in value by going across. Like, that's just not how the video game market really works. Like, generally, we've got enough information out in the world and enough copies of things that you can realistically, pay a marketable price. Like, the fact that it's graded at a 9.8 is the only thing that you can hang any kind of value on whatsoever.
Well, and then like how many other sealed copies of his game exist out in the market?
Are they registered somehow? Like that rating system? Like, is there a way to know how many other 9.8s there even are?
Well, yeah, there would be, because that type of stuff would be cataloged, by WATA most likely. But what I wonder is like how many other sealed copies of a game exist in the market right now. Like,
yeah.
if you're sitting there and you have a sealed copy of Super Mario Bros. That just sold for $2 million, are you going to have another like? Dude, 10 or 20 come out,
I guarantee you Nintendo has like a warehouse like that Indiana Jones movie with just like one crate of new sealed old stock of every game they've ever made, just one pallet lined up in a huge warehouse, and every once in a while they just say, let one of them go. That's how things like this happen.
Oh man, yeah. Can you imagine that, dude? They just kind of like crack open that new pack, and you just have this guy with like blue gloves reaching in to pull it out, and this one looks like for water. Yeah. Oh god. I would not put that past Nintendo to have a warehouse of sealed games.
Well, it's like, how much were people buying those Animal Crossing Switches for last year? And now you can just go casually find one.
Yeah, I saw one the other day actually. Well. Let us know in the comments your thoughts on this and really just the entire sealed market and how this is kind of shaping out, because it's gotten kind of stupid. I mean, there's people literally selling like Breath of the Wild on the Wii U for like $900 to $1,000 sealed right now. That is so stupid. I have my sealed copy, but I'm not going to get it graded anytime soon, and I damn well won't be able to sell it for $1,000.
Did you get your
Devil's Third graded?
Yeah,
not yet. I haven't messed with it yet, but I need to. Yeah, that's a goal. Once I get some more credit card reward points, I'll be putting that money towards a little WATA sealed and see how it goes. All right, let's jump into this next piece here, man. This is going to be the 10 most WTF monsters in video games, the weirdest enemies ever. And this is Kevin, it looks like Thinehouse of Gamer Inks. So
Game Ranks.
Dude, I am like blind right here. Like I'm just trying to like see, and I have my old glasses on, and oh my god, it's
okay.
Like so tiny.
Here, I'll run through and kind of give a quick breakdown. So he covered some interesting monsters that I never really thought of. Like, so at the first image on this article is of the monster house from Final Fantasy VII, which got like a cool boss treatment and stuff in the remake, and people are like, oh, that's neat. So this list has a bunch of stuff I've never heard of. So the first one on here is Devil Sonic the Hedgehog from Illbleed.
Illbleed. Yeah.
And it's called Zodic the Hellhog. And it's just a giant demon Sonic.
That one actually caught me off guard. I hadn't played Illbleed before, and when I saw that, I had to chuckle. When I saw Demon Sonic, I'm like, you could probably make a whole game out of Demon Sonic.
It's got like the weird, like one eye, but kind of two eyes thing going on. It looks just like Sonic. Next up, the Torpedo Kids from Resident Evil Dead Aim. This was a funny one to like read. It's basically like some enemy that shoots out like little monstrous, like fetus-faced projectiles at you.
Yeah.
And they call them Torpedo Kids.
Yeah, that one actually looked pretty funny.
Next up, you might know this one. I don't think I ever ran into this. The Pagan Tree from Dark Souls 2.
I recall running into that one, but Dark Souls 2, I found it odd that they even included that as one of the weird monsters, because there's so many weird monsters in that series.
I guess it's probably one of the only monsters that doesn't, like, you can't fight back.
There's like this weird, like, nasty, like, larva type thing. In one of I forget which one. I think it's Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls 3. There's like this fat larva monster that's in the game too. Like, I would have put that way above this one. For in terms of like weirdness, yeah, this one is definitely not as weird as some of the other bosses I faced.
Or Rom.
Yeah.
This next one is Final Fantasy VII. So this is what made the list instead of the Hell House, is the Triceratops mech, which is like an enemy in a weird area that's like optional, and it just looks like some kid stuck like half his Triceratops on top of his tank treads and made it a monster. So maybe this one will get a cool Final Fantasy VII remake boss battle too. The next one, I've been wanting to play this game because I hear really good things about it, and I wouldn't, be inclined to finish it, I'm sure, because it is a big JRPG. But I've never played any of the Yakuza games. Have you?
I own them all, but I haven't played them yet.
They're supposed to be like really out there and have some like wild silliness going on. And this one especially because it's a turn-based RPG versus like the live action kind of beat 'em up, running around GTA, but
I could have sworn that Yakuza was a action RPG.
I mean, there's like, I don't know. I've never played
I think it's action.
It's got like a whole big developed world, but you also run around and like fight guys in the street. And
Yeah, I think it's action. I haven't played it yet, so I mean, I can't speak to it, but I'm pretty sure it's an action-based game. I don't think it's turn-based.
No, well, this one is.
Oh, that one is?
Yeah,
okay.
Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon is a turn-based JRPG.
So
They've adapted the series to that.
Yeah, that's
point.
the change then, because it was more like Japanese GTA in a sense, and then it's moved into this.
Yeah, 100%.
And I haven't played this one at all.
Yeah, so there's a giant Roomba, giant vacuum monster that you have to fight at one point, and then later on it becomes like a super hard optional boss down in the sewers. So check that one out. Next one, the Gouda, Guta from Halo Reach. I never played Halo Reach. I never played really past Halo 3. I played a little bit of 4. I never played ODST. I never played Wars. I just played the core trilogy of Halo games for the most part.
Yeah, ODST was pretty interesting. That was probably the last one I played, and only because I had a buddy and we would play whatever mode it was where you could beat like hordes of enemies coming out at you. But yeah, Halo 3 was realistically the last Halo I played too.
But he says that this is like the only like monster creature enemy in Halo that's like just some native fauna. Like everything else is like Flood or the Covenant, or I think there's some weird like mech robot sentient enemies in like Halo 4 and 5 that I don't know anything about. But like it is weird to see Master Chief just standing next to this like big super generic looking, like it looks like the Chocobo Thief almost, but like less colorful. Like if the Chocobo Thief got mixed with the monster from Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Real question is, why isn't Chocobo Thief on this?
Chocobo Thief's weird.
Yeah, he's weird. Go on.
Next up, this one always bugged me too. I always thought this was weird. The Jason like mask from Super Mario Land 2 that just walks around with the knife in its head, and it's like, is that a Jason Voorhees like hockey mask, dude? Because it's like, it's bizarre that there's like this whole Halloween theme like level worlds in that game to begin with, and then like this like Jason mask walking around. It's like, okay, that was a weird one.
You know what we need is the teams that have created Jason need to issue Nintendo a cease and desist.
Yeah, exactly.
Get
a taste of their own medicine.
Yeah, exactly. That type of stuff bugs me so much. Like there's oftentimes you'll see in Nintendo games where it's like a blatant ripoff of like some sort of common day thing or some sort of like pop culture reference that's tied in there, but it's just enough Nintendo to make it be like, oh yeah, that's totally what that is, but nothing you can do about it, right? So yeah, it would be interesting to see if one day that kind of bites them in the ass. Get that nice cease and desist coming through.
Yeah. Number 8, Just a Big Dog. This is from Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I played a little bit of Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I did get the Switch edition, which had a lot of issues, and I think most of those issues have probably been patched by now, but I haven't really gone back and given it a fair shake again. But this was a big Kickstarter game, by the guy who did Castlevania Symphony of the Night and stuff, and it's supposed to be like a real return to form, and people really dig it. But some of those Kickstarter goals allowed big backers to be able to come up with their own ideas for things to go into the game, some of which were enemies that are just a big dog.
What do we got next?
Next up, more hockey. Not Jason this time. Final Fantasy VIII, The Slappers. Apparently in Final Fantasy VIII, I've never played Final Fantasy VIII. John's over there laughing. Have you played Final Fantasy VIII?
Dude, I beat Final Fantasy VIII like 3 times.
So you remember these guys?
I remember these guys, and I do question why they are on here, and the T-Rex that is randomly in the garden is not here. So
there's just a rando Rex?
There's literally like there's other dinosaurs or shit in the game if I recall, but you're within like the actual school. Okay, so it's like this giant floating school. I think it's
and
ballet.
a random enemy is just that there's a T-Rex.
So you like walk into this area and it kind of feels like Jurassic Park in a sense. Like you've got the cabling and such on the side, and you walk in and a T-Rex is just broken out. And I'm just thinking, what fucking school has a T-Rex chilling out in this like one garden space?
Dude, this is like the futuristic sequel to Jurassic Park. Like, what if we did Jurassic Park again, but this time we put the amusement park on a floating island?
And then taught school in there too. Like that's literally what it is. And it was just, to me, that was a weird enemy. The hockey guys are weird, but I think it's a T-Rexar, I think is what it was called. Is definitely a lot more weird for that game.
And then finally, number 10 from Dusk, which I've never played, Cart Dog. These are hellish dogs that have no limbs and are basically just being held. Like, think about like how a dog stands, like that, but body position, no legs, with like leather straps just supporting the torso, and it's built inside of a like just a boxed framework of wood with wheels on it. It's just a dog in the shape of a box. There's no glass. Like, you could reach through and it could totally wheel up and bite you because it's from hell. But what a weird design.
Yeah, that was pretty odd. You know what? I'm surprised didn't make it. And there's probably tons and tons and tons of weird enemies out there, right? But like, we didn't get Birdo on this list, which I've always found to be a really weird ass enemy. Anything from Rayman, yeah, that's true. Another one would be God, what was the game that we played? It was on the TurboGrafx. Remember? And we had to beat the house. I'm so bad at remembering games. Splatterhouse 3. Splatterhouse. And we had that house that we had to fight, or it was like literally a room and like daggers were
and all the
flying.
stuff would fly at you. That's a good one. That was actually a really interesting boss fight too.
Yeah, so there's some really weird things on that game too. I mean, I know it's mainly enemies is kind of a key thing here, but yeah, I mean, there's tons of games out there that just have really odd enemies. You've got the Great and Mighty Pooh from Conker's Bad Fur Day. That could totally make this list as well as one of those like odd enemies. I mean, the guy's literally singing about being a poop and slinging crap at you, like, and you got to dodge it. Like, there's crazy enemies out there.
Yeah,
so
I'm trying to think of like at least one other to say, and my mind is just coming totally blank.
Anything in Resident Evil, like Resident Evil Games Past, that was kind of weird that you thought?
I mean, they put that one on here. For the most part, the Resident Evil enemies are all kind of normie. It's mostly zombies.
As normie as it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've got like the what was that game that you played? God, I keep thinking Xenoblade Chronicles, but it's not Xenoblade. Xenogears. No, Xenogears is an RPG. What's that one you played? It was a couple years past.
I played
Zone of the Enders.
Zone of the Enders.
The Z and the X always gets me on that.
Those are just big mechs.
Gotcha.
Everything's pretty normie in there.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but there's definitely some weird enemies out there. Games that I played and weird crap. Dark Souls probably be a good set of enemies in there that are weird. For sure, Bloodborne probably has some weird crap kind of lying around.
ROM.
Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely some good stuff out there. Definitely let us know in the comments any weird enemies that you've come across in games that you found to be pretty creepy and or just blatantly bizarre.
Don't fit with the game world.
Yeah, like babies running around and like trying to stab you and stuff. That's probably something.
I guess you could say like you could lob the criticism that like the whole Paper Mario Origami King, like you're fighting like pencils and staplers, and stuff.
Or in Blue's Clues, like we're about to talk about in a bit, Shovel and Pail. They have no hands.
The greatest enemies. They
hop around and they have created creatures or what is it? Farm animals with no hands. How creepy is that? How are they able to create this, Ryan? So let's dig into our inflation deflation of the week. Ryan played Blue's Clues, his big musical on the PS1.
Yeah. It's developed by Terraglyph Interactive Studios, published by THQ and Mattel Interactive, released back in March 1st, 2001. It is the only Blue's Clues game, which seems crazy. It seems like, especially having played the game now, like Blue's Clues, especially amongst children's edutainment, is the perfect setting for games. I'm very shocked that they only made the one. I was only able to find one review on GameSpot. I should probably look up who that review was by, but he gave it a 3.2, and he said to, appreciated anybody checking out his one review on there. Why don't you talk for a minute while I look this review up?
Yeah, you're more than welcome to look that one up. So, dude, I got to see you play this firsthand. Didn't have to touch the controller one point, which was fantastic. And I gotta say, for a Blue's Clues game, this is actually pretty on par for a high quality edutainment game for kids.
So this, I remember being dared to play this game. Good God, this game was terrible. 3.2 from Conquer Rules 2334 on July 10th, 2009. So if you're out there listening, Conquer Rules 2334, I feel your pain. But I would definitely give this higher than a 3.2. Honestly, 100% truth, it wasn't bad. Like, hopping around, I remember watching a ton of Blue's Clues, like, when I was probably too old to be watching Blue's Clues because I was, like, visiting my little cousins during the summer or something. And it's like, dude, if it was on TV, I'd watch it. Like, I watched tons of Dora over there and stuff, too. It didn't matter none to me. I'd play my Game Boy and just let it run in the background. But, like, the format of, like, hopping all around inside the house, outside the house, going and finding all the different, like, characters, trying to find, like, the different clues and trying to interact with, like, different environmental stuff. Like, I feel like this game would have benefited from a lot more ability to interact with things in the environment. I mean, obviously, this would not have been a large budget game, and there probably would not have been the need to really put a lot of quality into here. But it definitely wasn't offensive. It definitely didn't play badly. Everything was, like, pretty easy to understand. Graphically, I mean, weird, smooth, shiny Steve is a little weird.
Yeah.
But, I mean, definitely better than if they had done some, like, pre-rendered, like, mocap, real video stuff like they used to do on some PC games and stuff. Like, I'm glad they didn't go that route.
Well, in this one, you really can do that, right? Because the entire time you had Blue following, or Steve was following Blue the entire time. So you can't have, like, some pre-rendered video in there. So I thought it was actually, in terms of what they did, it worked out for this. And, dude, like, honestly, I'm right there with you. If you're looking at it from a kid's standpoint, edutainment, like a parent looking to buy this for a kid on PS1, this is actually pretty good quality.
I think you could really take this. Like, I don't even know if Blue's Clues is still popular, but, like, with how much more popular video games as a medium for children is now, like, I mean, the PS1 was huge for kids, but I feel like it was huge for kids that were older than playing Blue's Clues, So, like, maybe PS1 Blue's Clues didn't have a lot of crossover, but, like, I mean, a DS Blue's Clues game that had, like, maybe some randomization where it's like, instead of just playing the same story, maybe you come up with, like, here's the house, the environment, like, we'll just pepper all kinds of clues throughout here, and whatever clue they run into first, that'll be that, like, episode or that whatever, and just kind of have it random or discoverable. It had a really South Park RPG vibe because it's like this environment that and you're familiar with, and you get to, like, fully explore it and kind of be in control and see all the familiar characters and stuff. Like, weird nostalgia pulls for such an old game and for something that was supposed to be, like, painful and punishment. Like, Mrs. Spider's Tea Party, absolute stupid, horrible waste of time. This, not bad. Like, I really think that, like, a 3.2 is being deliberate. Like, maybe I'm being generous too. Like, I wouldn't give it super high ratings because it didn't do anything exceptionally well.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a lot of room for improvement. But I mean, to say that this is anything less than just, like, fair, especially once you get to the pricing. Like, so surprisingly, so anyways, completed box, $607 right now, surprisingly, was at $827 back in August 2019, and that's kind of going down now. Loose $451, and that peaked at $747 back in November of 2015, and that's kind of holding where it's at. So, I mean, I guess I'm surprised that it's over $5. Like, that seems interesting. And even more so, the PAL PS1 is actually over $20. And the cheapest version is the loose PS1 at $451. To see that people buy this for $20, or even close to like $10, including shipping and handling, I guess, for a complete in-box US version, like that's shocking to me that this has even that much. Like when we were at that game store the other day, and I was like, oh, they've got some GBA games, and it's all this kind of level of stuff. Like just garbage that nobody wants. Like I don't think that you could go to a store that wasn't like a serious game store and find Game Boy Advance games that were worth paying money for.
Yeah.
You probably can't.
Well, and that shop, so that, they had their issues and why they're in that specific location. Once they open up into their old location again, it's like 5 times the size of that.
Yeah, I figured it was. I always remember it looking very big from the outside, but I've only ever been in that area on like a Sunday, and they were always closed, so I never was able to go in and check it out.
Yeah, they actually have a very big shop, and they have a lot more games and arcades and other stuff like that they have on hand. So what we saw is just kind of a little bit of everything tied into their new location. But dude, I mean, I'm right there with you. This game, honestly, I think it's deflated, to be honest, because at $6, for what you are getting in a high quality edutainment type game, I could expect something like this to be in the 10 range very easily, and people would still pay for it for their kids.
This is a game, if you are like a game collector and you've got little kids and you want to get them just like hands on a controller and doing some stuff, if Blue's Clues is still a thing and they like it, I would highly encourage you, get this game. Sit down with your kid, and they can learn how to like do some basic adventure game stuff. Like there's a lot of quality in here for that reason, I believe.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and say deflated. Shockingly deflated. That should just be the headline. Shockingly deflated. So this is interesting to watch you play. I didn't have to touch it, and that was okay with me. So the next thing is, if he doesn't finish Odyssey, he's got to play some Spice Girls. There's a dance game that Spice Girls made years ago. It is actually pretty bad. You would have to play that. Yeah. So hopefully you finish Odyssey so we don't have to go that route.
We'll probably wind up playing it someday down the road anyways.
Yeah. I'm thinking next week what we can do is maybe play around with my new 1UP arcade.
I know. I still have not had the chance to do that yet.
Yeah. So we can go ahead and play with that and get our experience on that. See how it goes. So, all right. Well, this has been episode 143 of the Game Deflators Podcast. Thanks for listening on your favorite podcast application, and leave a 5-star review. Always appreciate it. But my name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.